Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this edition of the CMO Talk series. And I'm very privileged today to be joined by a CMO I deeply respect at a personal level, Dario Debarbieri, who is the CMO for HCLSoftware. And before I ask Dario to introduce himself, let me give you a quick context to the very challenging role that Dario is driving today. HCLSoftware is today a $1.5 billion business. And actually, as a pure software company, as it is in the top 20 software companies in the world. And HCLSoftware is a part of the larger HCL Technologies, technology services firm. It's a very unique experiment where we're actually seeing a services company move into product in an extremely serious way. Dario, of course, is helming that mission as their CMO. But before I ask Dario to talk about the business side to himself and all the learnings he will share with us, Dario, can you tell me a bit about this T-shirt that you're wearing? What's going on there?
My T-shirt. This is the T-shirt of the airline that hosted, in the country that hosted the Soccer World Cup, or the football, like the majority of the world calls it, World Cup just recently. So that brings me back to my proud origin of being an Argentinian, very happy, celebrating the incredible win of that World Cup against an incredible team of France. So that's what the T-shirt is all about, Krishnan. Good eye. Good eye.
Thanks, Dario. And with you around, Dario, the M in the CMO is Messi, clearly.
Yes, that would be the choice.
Yeah, so glad to have Messi amongst our community. So Dario, let's hear a little bit more now on the professional side. Just if you could introduce yourself a little bit for all our viewers.
Absolutely, Krishnan. And hi, everyone. Thank you for hosting me today. It's a privilege to be here with Krishnan and the team. I started my career a long time ago. Actually, I would say that I've been in marketing in and out nearly from 1991. That's a long time. Throughout my career, I primarily focused on two industries, technology and finance. Those are the companies that I primarily work for. But the majority of my career was around software and software companies, both on the marketing and strategy side, and also a lot of sales experience along the way. I worked and lived in 5 different countries, and I basically worked for every single geography that you can think of, except for Antarctica, I would say. So if the penguins buy something, that will be my next job. But they still don't have money yet. Maybe one day. The software experience around marketing was for a long time with IBM. That's where I come from. That was my previous job. A brief touch into an outsourcing firm as well, out from Australia. And recently joined the HCLSoftware company just 2 years ago through this incredible transformation. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic, Dario. You've seen it all, and I think I can think of nobody better to attack the penguins as they start climbing the economic value chain. But for the moment, let's focus on the topic of the day. And Dario, as you're aware, I'm meeting a number of CMOs across companies across the world with one question on this show, which is, I would say post in the B2B marketing world, we are seeing this increasing sort of division between the concept of efficiency and effectiveness. Now, in efficiency, we have all the MarTech and all kinds of software and architecture and programmatic buying and all of that stuff. And people are able to create a funnel, top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, get in marketing qualified leads. All of that is happening. And that efficiency game is being very well played by CMOs across B2B. Where I think the business has now started making more demands on marketing, and especially post, is the effectiveness piece, which is all this effort and investment. How is it actually translating to revenue and growth for the business? And you hear a lot of conflict between sales and marketing. Sales saying these leads aren't that good and they may be large in numbers. We don't close them. We get better demand ourselves and all that kind of. So I wanted to start with your viewpoint. What do you think is the big difference today in the B2B marketing world, especially given the extremely challenging situation which you are right now navigating? What's the difference between efficiency and effectiveness?
I think if you look at what happened after, primarily is, I think there are a couple of learnings that came our way. One is that there is a new economy that has been built that is shifting heavily and deeply into digital and all digital. We now know and have the expectation that most of the consumers in both the B2B and the B2C space, they will have a digital path, a clear digital path, because they have experienced it after they had no choice. And also it changed entirely the way that we work. So our efficiency ways were in the past by putting investments into technology to become slowly but surely more efficient. But suddenly along the way, we found that the efficiency models changed. The definition of efficiency also changed, because now you have half of your teams or all your teams working remotely. So for you to be more efficient, you had to transform as well through the path of efficiency, which meant tools and people. And I see one important pending signature in terms of efficiencies that we are all navigating through before we reach the excellence point of effectiveness. And that is the efficiency through intelligence in this new digital economy. What do I mean by that? To make it super simple, we were really good to find models based on knowledge, based on basic data, and based on some basic predictive analytics. But very few CMOs have managed the efficiency layer at the artificial intelligence and machine learning path. Understanding algorithms, understanding and believing in the data that can give you real-time outputs, it's unexploited today. Hence, the effectiveness, it's been impaired by the same models we know from before post-COVID. And post-COVID, the amount of data exploded in such an incredible way that no human machines and all methodologies apply anymore. We need AI. We need it more than ever. So the last mile for efficiency, I don't believe it has been fully accomplished. We're just starting in that model. And why do I take us there now in this discussion? Because I think that effectiveness is proven by 4 core pillars. The first core pillar is marketing automation at its best. So automated journeys that can actually engage with the customer until the very last mile and concrete the sale, even if it's in B2B. Especially in software, right? When you have software that you can deploy or continuously deploy, whereby your clients can buy from you directly, that's one clear path. The second one is sales, and it's a hugely important first arm of execution and arm of generation, which primarily is fed by the leads that we produce. The 2 other channels are our business partner ecosystem. I believe that we live in a world of partner ecosystems. I believe that the world of limited amount of partnerships or pointed partnerships is gone. I think this is a world of partnerships. You need to work with everyone to get everywhere, right? There is no other way. So the business partner ecosystem is one that needs heavy exploitation. And the fourth one is obviously your tele resources or your tele-web resources, right? So the sales development reps or the lead development reps that sometimes are forgotten in this path, and they're not in the middle; they're everywhere in the funnel, right? From the beginning to the end, they are there. So in these four pillars is where I find the effectiveness opportunity, right? A huge effectiveness opportunity. Now, why did I bring the AI topic before? Because the constant battle, as you mentioned before, between marketing and sales, marketing and SDRs, marketing and business partners is the quality of the leads that you're giving me is not good. Whether they're good or not, they will never be good enough, right? Because the targets are always higher, right? And the marketing investment is not necessarily always higher, right? So sometimes with limited or more limited resources, you need to achieve higher results. I think the efficiency battle has, for marketers, the next big challenge. And why is it the next big challenge? Because we're dealing with a new skill that has not been taught at universities. No CMOs of my generation and my next generation had the privilege to learn at school anything about AI. So by us to having to compute that new level of data information, and most importantly, trust on an engine that will tell you your next best action is X, Y, or Z, we need to learn a lot about data and AI. And I think once that journey from our generation, my next generation, and two generations before, which are some of them are graduating from university today, probably with not enough AI on their belts, will pose a massive challenge for marketers, because when we get there, we will have to accomplish two things: not just the skilling up, but also the finding of that efficiency and apply that efficiency to models of effectiveness through the sales channels that will have a hard time believing and understanding that there is something called machine learning or AI that actually will paint their destiny, right? So I think we have a journey to get to become highly effective in the near future, which is how do we best leverage everything we know and everything as exists today, and make of that as close as we can as 100%, but then we will gradually need to grow very quickly into a new efficiency model that will drive maximum effectiveness. And when I say maximum effectiveness is, I think that today marketers operate like our brain does. We only use a small capacity of our brains. And I believe that today we also use a limited amount of data available to us to be highly effective. And I think that component, it will be given by AI and machine learning in the near future. Sorry for the long answer, but no, I believe that's where we're going.
Dario, you have just, as always, with everybody I'm talking to now, here is a completely new idea that you have given. And I think ideas are the currency of marketing. So let me develop your thinking a little more, Dario, because I think one interesting continuum you have now introduced is there is a piece of the efficiency loop that needs to get closed, which, let's go back to that marketing funnel. We can make the efficiency of the marketing funnel better through the application of AI. So that's one thing. And then you have raised 4 dimensions of, once you have that marketing funnel tool really solidly efficient, you can now play on 4 dimensions to get to the effectiveness paradigm. But let's for a moment focus on that closure on efficiency. Dario, can you talk about 1 or 2 or maybe 3 use cases of how AI can be infused in the marketing funnel to significantly jump its efficiency and productivity?
Absolutely. So coming out of and going back to the original discussion, there was a clear realization that a AI-powered journey was needed. And the reason I say that is very simple. Just imagine during the most of us had to deal with two issues at the same time. Constant regulation changes. So banks in certain countries, especially for global corporations, right? In a country A, the banks will be only open in the morning for senior people and in the afternoon for everybody else, but of certain age types and ranges, right? And in a different country, they will open only on specific days of the week, and other countries will be closed. Other countries will only have digital access to the bank. So the entire world operated in a completely different way. If you think of that as an execution necessity, any CMO who had a limited or small team, or even a large team, would have been literally impossible to rechange those journeys in real time as fast as the new regulations were coming, right? So if you wanted to have an entire journey that will have to be developed according to all the changes that were happening at the speed that were happening, it was literally impossible. No human can spend so much time, no team has enough people to actually make that happen. So AI-infused journeys, they only require limited amounts of information and data points so they can fix themselves and they can follow new journeys automatically and apply those journeys automatically throughout your entire communication platform and ecosystem to actually react accurately to those real-time changes, which humans cannot do. Now, those systems have not reached yet the intelligence layer of applying a certain promotion or doing A/B testing or actually putting the images and the context of the promotions accurately, right? But the synchronization of timing and the synchronization of accuracy according to regulatory changes in real time, it's something that humans cannot do and machines can. So that is one clear example where companies that had AI-powered journeys could actually deal with some of those challenges today. And they have set trends. They have set important trends. That is probably the most iconic use during times of challenges that have implications of regulatory changes, which are very complex to deal with. The second path is commerce. Before most companies, except for the top companies that were already using AI, I will not mention any names, not to make any promotions, but certain commerce platforms, which we all know, had already AI algorithms that will give you your closer to what your purchase history was offers. So they will be always really close to the next best action and the next potential sell, and they will sell you more, right? Certainly that was happening. But many companies realized during COVID that similar items you purchased or similar products that were human decided based on some basic historic metrics didn't work anymore, right? People were looking for deep personalization layers and understanding because people has that expectation. You already have the expectation that if you were looking for something on the web and you purchase something, that you will not see that banner again, that nobody will try to sell you on that again because you already purchased it. And so you realize of the lack of intelligence in real time now. Sometimes you don't know what type of technology makes it happen, but you know that the intelligence is missing there, right? That is the second example, which is now average Joe and average Mary knows exactly the difference between intelligence marketing and non-intelligent marketing. So we as CMOs have a massive challenge because now everybody realizes whether you're applying technology with intelligence or you're not applying technology with intelligence, right? Because everybody can see it clearly, right? Lack of personalization on one end, right? That number two. And number one, what I mentioned before, intelligent journeys. Those two have been overlooked from an efficiency perspective in the past. The following of the journey, the intelligent journeys, and the intelligence real-time personalization has been overlooked. Those two are the prime examples of AI, and that's where humans need a lot of help from machines.
Fabulous, Dario. In fact, as you were speaking, I was seeing a picture in my mind that what you have just done is you have sort of redefined the marketing funnel into let's say a complete front office funnel. And in my mind, I was drawing a bow tie. And the bow tie is your prospect starts their journey, funnels, becomes a buyer. And then as a buyer starts expanding the relationship with you, and you are straddling that entire journey, and you're not locking it off at the point the first transaction happened. And in effect, the power of AI is you can track that entire bow tie and use the different stages in the journey to personalize in ways that would be incredible experientially for that customer. I think that's I must think more deeply on this concept. It's a very powerful one. So assume, Dario, and I'm sure, with products like Unica, you must be able to infuse, AI into a lot of journeys, especially on the commerce side. So assume HCLSoftware has helped a number of players do what you just said. Now, next stage is when you start getting to the effectiveness. And, I think you gave 4 beautiful dimensions around the effectiveness, which is the entire reference architecture for the marketing automation. I think you talked about sales, you talked about the whole partnership, criticality, and your SDRs and so on. And I assume the whole SDR or your people engine to drive marketing effectiveness. You had earlier in this discussion thrown in the additional challenge of virtual working, which I'm sure is not easy for teams to do this. But if I were to look at these 4, Dario, and say, place a bet, what's going to create effectiveness 2.0 or marketing 2.0, which will help us as marketers leapfrog of the 4 pillars that you have described, which would be your first pick?
I think the channels are very distinct in their at their core, and when I bring this new discussion of efficiency, the way I think of this is the following, Krishnan. If just imagine a perfect world where as soon as you pass an opportunity to a sales team member or a business partner, you have the entire intelligence of every touch point, and you have access to every single touch point with precision. Once you build on that, most likely both your business partner and your seller will finish the relationship in most cases at the time of contract. Even as a company, we believe that there is a relationship beyond the contract. And that bridge is very difficult, very, very difficult without, today, in my view, without deep automation and intelligence. Those 2 channels for me are probably the most important channels. The reason I split them almost equally is because we have a large amount of sales force, but our business partner ecosystem, if leveraged accurately, is significantly higher and bigger. It multiplies by at least 10x the amount of field sellers we have. So when you put the entire ecosystem together, but yet they make a little extra 50% of our revenue. So to us, these 2 channels for us are massively important. But there is a huge potential on the business partner ecosystem to grow more because they can grow resources faster than we can. because obviously it's a matter of mathematics, right? Thousands of companies, by growing one person at a time, grow by thousands. We cannot duplicate our sales force every year. So those two are equally important to us, but we have a responsibility to be more effective with them by helping them follow every single opportunity through the entire journey, not by us taking the responsibility of the journey, because at the end of the day, once the opportunities are passed, they are for them to manage and control. There is an expectation there, but the intelligence and the automation of moving those opportunities forward through the path when the sellers don't have time, or when the sellers have too many opportunities, or when the opportunity needs to be passed to someone else with more expertise, skills, or another business partner, that whole play is highly dependent on efficiency.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I interpret what you just said, Dario, obviously you're holding that whole partner ecosystem as a huge focus area. And I think that's a game changer. If marketing were to sort of create the right impact on the partner ecosystem, effectiveness becomes a given, because as you said, it's an exponential impact. It is not linear. How does that look? So Dario, if you were to imagine the perfect situation, one I took away, and I think you were saying that the automation and intelligence piece, could you as the CMO provide that almost like a center of excellence for your partners to feed off? So therefore, there is a core thinking, there is core intelligence, and that is what the partners multiply on top of. That is, what else do you think? What are some 3 or 4 things which to you would be the ideal, I would say, reference architecture in this partner ecosystem management as a CMO?
Yeah, I think you said it, Krishnan. You picked it up very quickly. It is really building that center of excellence, right? The kind of that central intelligence brain that provides and manages it and does it along with the business partners in a centralized way. So that model today, by most companies, I would say, and I'm part of the CMO Council, I don't know any colleague that has mastered that yet. In terms of how do you build an entire ecosystem of intelligence around the entire journey with your business partner ecosystem. We do have an advantage, which is we have the tools to do it. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to be able to get to that level of knowledge and integration across your entire partner ecosystem. But to me, the central point of coordination, the skill leverage, and the coordinated planning is the 3 keys to make this happen with the business partner ecosystem in terms of reaching that high degree of effectiveness, right? Which, as you said, well, is probably that next frontier. And that obviously will manifest itself much faster through your sales force as well, right? Which I would say we master a little bit better than the way we mastered it with our business partner ecosystems.
Absolutely. So Dario, I think that's been a great insight and contribution to the running conversation in the CMO Talk series. And I do believe, I agree with you. I think this is the new frontier. And I also agree, nobody yet has really managed to crack this. But imagine to our audience today, Dario, if tomorrow when they go back to office after having listened to everything you had to say, and what are 3 things that you would advise the audience to do differently tomorrow when they get back to office?
One is never start skilling up yourself. the way and the speed in which things are moving require close attention to work beyond your instincts. I think we lived in a generation of instincts, and it was brilliant because we have brilliant brands, brilliant companies, and we have seen in the last 50 years an incredible evolution of globalization, thanks partly to instinct and the basic tools we all had. But the world has changed drastically, and now machines are making decisions, and a lot of companies and layers of our world are already operating at that degree of intelligence. You cannot be left behind. So skill up yourself will be my first recommendation. The second recommendation is skill up your teams. I cannot move away from the topic of skilling. Skill up your teams and make sure that you constantly bring the influx of new and recently graduated students, because that infusion of new knowledge is critical. Just one quick example: a young team member showed me an incredible tool. I will not mention the name, not to make any promotions, where you just put a text and it will build a letter for you. You just put a question on a code and will give you back the code for automating using AI certain components of your coding, right? My son, who's studying software engineering, already uses it for building Python algorithms. That is a knowledge that if you don't have in very short period of time, you will be left behind. You will be left behind. So do not retire early, learn more. And the third one is, I'm very lucky to work for HCLSoftware, where we have AI technology, we have marketing technology, commerce technology, and we have the luxury of being able to play with the technology. Probably by the end of March, we will have the most powerful implementation of Unica of any customer in the planet. And that means that you do feel very quickly you're very much ahead of the game when you use technology that already uses some of the things that you need to learn. Because to me, there is no better learning than learning by experience, meaning putting your hands dirty into the tools and learning from it, right? Because there are no universities for CMOs my age, over 50, that will take you gladly, right, and teach you all these new things. Because for the most part, I must say, we are creating them, or we are applying them, or we are the first ones who are actually using the tools with the purpose of these new tools, with these new technologies. So for those of us who unfortunately don't have time to teach, but we do have the time to use because we have access to these tools, then that's a great way to do it. So the third recommendation is, if you don't have those tools, try them out, buy them, test them, look at every single tool, because that's the best way to learn. Don't think that because you have some basic tooling in your company, you're done. Keep exploring, because by keeping exploring and by keeping up with technology and using that new technology, and talk to your colleagues, right, about those technologies, because that can take you a long way. Those will be my 3 recommendations. Skill yourself, skill your team, use the technology as much as possible, because that's the best and fastest way to learn.
I think, Dario, very simple lessons, but we forget them in the hurly-burly of our day-to-day lives. I must thank you for this wonderful session. I think there is absolutely new dimensions you've opened, and I think you have given a way of exponential growth, because when you talk about AI, when you talk about skilling, and when you talk about the ecosystem, all of these are exponential concepts. And I've learned a lot. speaking with you today. And I know everybody watching this episode will have learned a lot, and very applicably so. Thank you so much, Dario.
Thank you, Krishnan. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.